All of these things, when we have blood sugar dysregulation, when we are riding a blood sugar roller coaster, as I like to refer to it, that is causing inflammation in the body. And just remember, you guys, inflammation is the root of all disease. Inflammation is what underlies all cancers. It's what underlies all autoimmune disorders. It's what underlies all cardiovascular events. Some level of inflammation, all neurological disorders, Alzheimer's, dementia, etc. All of those diseases start on some level of inflammation in the body. And one of the best ways to get inflammation out of your body is to get off of the blood sugar roller coaster and start keeping steady eddy blood sugar. And so a great way to do that would be to put a blood sugar monitor in your arm. Today on the podcast, I am sticking a needle in my arm. Welcome back to the Energetically Efficient Show. You guys, today I want to talk to you about continuous glucose monitors. And I actually brought, and will show you today, the Stello CGM that I have, which comes in a 2-pack, and I'm going to actually put it in my arm for you today. But first, I want to talk about continuous glucose monitors. So stay tuned so you can watch me do this, so that if you have any hesitation around it, I can take all of the fear out of it for you. I've been wearing continuous glucose monitors for many, many years. And the reason that I recommend them to almost everyone, I really, really think this is the one tool that everyone should use at some point, is because it is a way for you to learn about real-time feedback on blood sugar. So continuous glucose monitors, otherwise called a CGM for short, they provide you, like I said, the real-time feedback. So once I stick this in my arm, I'll probably put it in my left arm today. Once I stick this in my arm, I then can scan the CGM with an app. Okay, and I'll tell you why I'm using this particular one and what app I use. But you can scan it with an app, and then throughout the course of the day, no matter what you're doing, it is always giving you real-time data about your blood sugar. So that means no matter what I eat, I'll get real-time data about my blood sugar. No matter how I spend my time, I'll get real-time data. No matter the workout, whether it's a sauna, whether I go to acupuncture, whether I watch a scary movie. And I'm giving you all of these examples because these are all things that actually could affect your blood sugar, which I think is so wild. So, like I said, I've been wearing CGMs for a really long time. I recommend them to everyone. And the reason that I'm recommending the Stello version of a CGM right now is because it integrates with one of my favorite other tools, which is the Oura Ring. So if there are two devices that you would spend your money on, to me, my recommendations would be getting a CGM and getting an Oura Ring. I'll talk about Oura Rings in a little bit, but the CGM is such an important tool for understanding your body. Blood sugar, the epidemic of dysregulated blood sugar is a very serious thing in this country. People most often are riding a blood sugar roller coaster from the time that they get up in the morning until the time they go to bed at night. It's wild to me how many people don't realize that they're on this blood sugar roller coaster and think that this is just their normal life. I have a list for you of what are some signs of blood sugar dysregulation so that you know what to look for in terms of, you may be saying as you're watching this, well, Kristin, I don't know if I have any issues with blood sugar, and blood sugar issues come in all different forms. So here are some signs of blood sugar dysregulation. And these are the most classic ones. And these are questions that I ask my clients before they can begin working with me one-on-one. They have to fill out a nutritional assessment questionnaire. And the questionnaire will have all of these things as in the blood sugar category. So just listen and ask yourself if any of these particular signs apply to you. So there's 12 signs. I'm going to go through each of them. Number 1, you awaken a few hours after falling asleep. And for this one in particular, you guys, I always say, if you're one of these people that gets up anywhere between 1 and 3 a.m. or 2 and 4 a.m., that is very likely a sign that you have blood sugar dysregulation. Number 2, you can't get back to sleep after you wake up in the middle of the night. Number 3, you crave sweets. This is a very classic sign that you have dysregulated blood sugar. Number 4, you experience binging or uncontrolled eating. You all of a sudden just want to eat a tremendous amount, or you want to binge and you don't really know why. Number 5, you have an excessive appetite. 6, you crave coffee or sugar in the afternoon. Number 7, you feel sleepy in the afternoon. These are classic signs of if you go up the blood sugar roller coaster and then you're coming down the roller coaster and then you crash at the bottom, that's when you're going to feel exhausted, and you're going to either want to eat something to actually take you out of that crash, or you're going to want to fall asleep, or you're going to reach for something like coffee. Number 8, you have fatigue that is relieved by eating. Another classic sign of blood sugar dysregulation, rather. Number 9, you have a headache if meals are skipped or delayed. I like to talk about this one and the next one. Number 10 is irritable/shaky if meals are delayed. I like to talk about those two in the category of feeling hangry. If anyone's ever heard of the term hangry, it means you're hungry and you're angry. So that hangry term is typically a sign of blood sugar dysregulation. Number 11, if you have family members with diabetes, you have an increased chance for blood sugar dysregulation. And number 12, if you have frequent thirst and or you urinate a lot, that can also be a sign of blood sugar dysregulation. So all of these things, when we have blood sugar dysregulation, when we are riding a blood sugar roller coaster, as I like to refer to it, that is causing inflammation in the body. And just remember, you guys, inflammation is the root of all disease. Inflammation is what underlies all cancers. It's what underlies all autoimmune disorders. It's what underlies all cardiovascular events. Some level of inflammation, all neurological disorders, Alzheimer's, dementia, etc. All of those diseases start on some level of inflammation in the body. And one of the best ways to get inflammation out of your body is to get off of the blood sugar roller coaster and start keeping steady Eddie blood sugar. And so a great way to do that would be to put a blood sugar monitor in your arm. I just think it's so important to know that continuous glucose monitors can really, really help you course correct your blood sugar. I have done many, many experiments wearing blood sugar monitors over the years, continuous ones that is. And it's always fascinating to me to see when I wear a blood sugar monitor, what sort of things spike it and what sort of things actually are a non-event whatsoever. And so I'll just give you a few examples of those because I sometimes think that stories are very helpful. So there was a time a few summers ago where when I lived in Minneapolis, a friend of mine and I walked from my home all the way down to an ice cream shop on Hennepin Avenue called Sebastian Joe's. And if you live in the Twin Cities, you know how good that ice cream is. It's real good. So I was wearing a blood sugar monitor at the time. So I said, okay, let's test this. Because of course, I didn't eat dinner right before. We were just going on a walk and then we had ice cream. So I'm literally eating ice cream on an empty stomach, which is something I would never tell anyone to do. I would say, don't eat ice cream on an empty stomach and certainly have some like good protein, fiber, those kinds of things before, have a dinner before, maybe take some apple cider vinegar before. There's all sorts of hacks to be able to lower your blood sugar, but I definitely would never eat it on an empty stomach. So I decided to do it that day for an experiment. So I eat the ice cream and I went all out. I ate 2 scoops of Nicollet Island Pothole. Okay. So if you've ever had Sebastian Joe's ice cream and you've had that flavor, it is a chocolate ice cream base with chocolate things in it, like some kind of nuts. I don't know if it's caramel or peanut butter or like marshmallow. It's real good, okay? It's a sugar bomb. There's lots of stuff in it. And then I got some sort of nuts on top and I got whipped cream. So I didn't hold back. So I eat this ice cream and I remember it was pretty much about like 8 or 8:15 at night. And right after that, I said, okay, now we got to get walking. Because I thought, let's see what happens if I eat this ice cream and then I walk and walk and walk. And basically, I knew my body would use that ice cream sugar for fuel to fuel my walk. So if you know where the Sebastian Joe's is located on Hennepin Avenue, for those of you in the Twin Cities, we basically walked down Franklin, got to Lake of the Isles, walked around the big side of Lake of the Isles, came back towards Lake Calhoun, walked the short side of Lake Calhoun and walked back to my home, which was only 4 blocks off Lake Calhoun in Minneapolis. So we really were walking for an hour and a half or more. We didn't like speed walk. It wasn't a super fast walk, but we did walk for a great distance. And I'm happy to report that when I got home, I scanned my blood sugar monitor again. And of course, I just scanned it because out of curiosity, it's tracking you all the time when you're wearing it, but you scan it to get it to sort of catch up and populate in your app. At least that's what my device did at the time. I think this one, you don't even need to scan it anymore, actually, which is kind of nice. So in any event, my blood sugar during the whole walk stayed pretty steady. It stayed in, I think it was like the high 80s. So I already had low and steady blood sugar. And then we got home. And then, of course, then I stopped walking. And later that night, I noticed there was a little bit of a bump that went up close to like 100 or maybe just over 100. But it really wasn't a significant bump because I ate that ice cream and then I used it walking for an hour and a half or more. And so there is ways that you can play with being able to eat the sugary things that you want to eat as long as you get moving right after and you're not just sitting on your butt, causing your body to store that sugar in your liver or in your skeletal muscle or, heaven forbid, in your body fat. So that was one story of one that I was really excited about. A totally different story was one night, this is also back when I lived in Minnesota, I had decided I wanted to get a pedicure. So I went to the pedicure place. And at the pedicure place, they always have this big jar of like Tootsie Rolls. And I don't know about you, but I am a sucker for the Tootsie Rolls that have, they're like the fruit flavors. So not the chocolate ones, but the fruit flavors, like a cherry Tootsie Roll, a vanilla Tootsie Roll. By the way, they're a great combo together. So I know that I purposely only had 3 Tootsie Rolls because I was like, okay, they're little. It's just a Tootsie Roll. How bad can it be? I had 3 Tootsie Rolls. Now, keep in mind, I also did this experiment on an empty stomach, and then I just sat there, okay, because I was getting a pedicure. So I didn't go on a walk after this. I didn't have any activity I was going to do. I ate the Tootsie Rolls, and then I just sat there, and lo and behold, I checked it a couple hours later, and I had a huge spike in my blood sugar from eating 3 Tootsie Rolls on an empty stomach. And I was like, oh, granted, I know they're straight sugar. I know they're bad for you, but I thought, you've got to be kidding me that something seemingly this innocuous could spike my blood sugar this bad. And the answer is yes. And so this is what so many people are unwittingly doing all day long, grabbing the little treat out of the assistant's candy jar on the counter, having the little bite of the cake or whatever in the break room in the back of the kitchen at the office, grabbing the food off their kid's plate because their kid didn't finish it and they haven't had time for dinner. So they're just eating a bunch of that mac and cheese to get rid of it rather than throw it away. All of these things, you guys, contribute to blood sugar dysregulation. Everything that I just mentioned to you, everything I identified, are forms really of empty carbohydrates that are only going to spike your blood sugar. So I really, really encourage you to put one of these continuous glucose monitors in your arm. This Stella one is fantastic because, again, like I mentioned, it integrates with the Oura Ring. When you put this in your arm, you are able to see how everything that you eat, everything that you drink, everything that you do affects your blood sugar. So one of the things for my friends who drink alcohol, you will notice that if you drink alcohol wearing a CGM, your blood sugar will be low. And you're like, wait a second. Okay, so does that mean alcohol is good for me? No, that's not what I'm saying. However, alcohol, unless, and I shouldn't say all alcohol, that's not really fair. So if you were to drink a glass of wine, or if you were to have hard liquor with like a soda water, so like a tequila soda or a vodka soda, or you were to have a glass of wine, you will have steady blood sugar, or it will even go down. It will not raise your blood sugar. Alcohol does not raise your blood sugar if it's just the alcohol. Now, if you have a margarita with a bunch of sugar in it, you're going to spike your blood sugar. If you have some sort of fancy drink that has sugar in it, if you even drink something like a gin and tonic, most people don't realize tonic is full of carbohydrates, you will spike your blood sugar. If you have beer, you will spike your blood sugar, most likely, depending on what the beer is, of course. But so I say this because you may drink alcohol wearing one of these and think, okay, well, maybe that means it's not bad for me. But what I want you to pay attention to is if you drink that alcohol and you have a meal, I want you to watch what happens to your blood sugar a few hours later, because generally what happens is there's a very delayed response. And obviously it depends on what you ate. If you ate a more well-formulated low carbohydrate meal, it's not going to spike your blood sugar. But if you ate a bunch of pasta, or if you ate a bunch of bread, or if you ate things that spike your blood sugar, and then heaven forbid you did not move after and you just stayed sitting, chances are you're going to have a blood sugar spike. And really this happens to be the worst kind of scenario when you do this in the evening. So I always say, if you have a bunch of food with a bunch of drinks at night and then you go home and go to bed, not only are you going to get a blood sugar spike at some point in the night and then a crash, which is what's going to wake you up between those hours of 1 and 4 a.m., but you're also going to experience that dysregulation because your liver needs so much attention that hour because it's finally done processing all of the alcohol, and then it talks to your pancreas, and they have this crosstalk happening in the middle of the night, and it wakes you up. So don't be surprised if you are drinking alcohol that does not have any sugar in it, that you won't notice any sort of a spike in your blood glucose, but you will probably notice a delayed reaction depending on what you ate when you had the alcohol. Okay, so let me just talk briefly about the Oura Ring because I want to talk about this integration between the Stelo CGM and the Oura Ring. So I have my phone and I have my Oura Ring app, and once I add my Oura Ring app to it, you will see there's a section in here that says glucose. So it will say that there's no data because I haven't had a CGM in my arm for a few days, and so I'm going to have to put this in and then it'll populate data. But the reason that I love that it coordinates with the Oura Ring is then you have all of your data in one place. So I can go to my Oura Ring app, my Oura app, and it has all of the steps I've made for the day. It has all how I slept that night. It has my readiness score. It has my heart rate variability. It has my heart rate. It talks about how much stress that I've experienced in the day. For example, I went to look at it last night and it said, you've experienced more stress than usual today. And I was like, well, that's weird. I didn't think that yesterday was a particularly stressful day. And then I remembered, oh, wait a second, but I did do the sauna and cold plunge. So I was in the sauna for a long time and did the cold plunge. And of course, those things will cause your body to experience micro stressors that ultimately are good for you, but they are stressors, of course. Okay, so I think what I'd like to do now is I want to, because it's going to take me a little bit to walk through this, I want to show you how do I put the Stelo in my arm. So when you get a box of these, 2 of these come in a box. So one of these sensors is going to last you for 2 weeks. So it's a 14-day sensor. I think it might even be a few days longer than that. And then also in there, because I integrate it with the Oura wrap, I've got the Oura Ring app. I have a sticker, an Oura Ring sticker that I can put over it. And then I also have this alcohol wipe that I'm going to wipe my arm. So I want to just show you what the elements are once you open the box, and then we can get into it. And you get to watch me poke a needle in my arm, which is quite fun. Okay, the Stelo CGM runs on the Dexcom technology. Dexcom and Libre Freestyle are the 2 primary different kinds of technology for continuous glucose monitors, meaning Dexcom is one, and that's the Stelo CGM. The NutriSense CGM also now runs on the Dexcom. I believe that the Levels CGM still runs on the Freestyle Libre, so these are just 2 different kinds of devices. But this is what the Dexcom looks like when you get it. So it's just this device, and I'm going to open this, and you're going to see how it has a needle in it. And I'm going to clean my arm first. And then you also get this extra sticker for the Stelo to go under the Oura Ring sticker. So this is to prevent it from having any sort of debris or germs or anything in it. And then it comes with this handy dandy list of all sorts of instructions. I already know what I'm doing, so I'm not going to read those. I'm just going to put those aside. But I also like that the Stelo comes with even a smaller start guide. So it says start here. So you could open this up, and if this is something you've never done before, it says if you're just getting started, download the Stelo by Dexcom app. So I can pop this up on the screen as well for you, and then you can follow the instructions with a QR code. So what I'm going to do first before I open this is I am going to clean my arm. So this is where you want to put a CGM in your arm, okay, you guys? So I'm going to turn this way so you can see for the camera. You want to put it at the fattiest part of your tricep. So yes, I have very muscular arms. Fine. Everyone has fat here, okay? So we want to find, you want to not flex, and I'm going to do it on my left arm, so I'll show you. I'll do it on my left arm. You can see me here. So you want to not flex, and I want to wipe that whole part of my arm, because really when I put it in, I'm looking for the fattiest part of my tricep. So see how even though I'm muscular, there's always going to be some fat here. So that's where we're going to put it. Okay, so then with this, it's got a little sticker that closes it, and you twist it. Let's see. This will be interesting if I can get it. There, you twist it off. And once I twist it off, you may not be able to see that, but there's actually a needle in there. And the reason the needle is in there is this is a device that allows me to just pop this into my arm. And I know that sounds like, oh my God, Kristin, does it hurt? The answer is no. I'm not kidding you guys. You literally don't even feel it. It doesn't hurt you whatsoever. I actually notice it more when I take it out than when I put it in, which is sort of interesting. So you already saw me. I used my alcohol wipe, and I wiped a ton on my arm right here to make sure that when the needle goes in, there's no issue. And I just wipe all around it so that wherever the needle goes, I know that it's clean there. Let me just show you this. There is a button on the side. So I'd say the hardest part about this is when it's in your arm, you have to push it up basically so this clear stuff goes away. So you want this depressed into your arm enough, and then you have to push the button and hold it. So I'll show you. Ta-da. I have it in my arm. I literally didn't even feel that at all. So now I'm just going to seal this away. This can get tossed. And then you want to make sure that when you put the sticker on, because I want to make sure I put this on, I'm going to put this on first and then this Oura Ring sensor over it. You want to make sure that you do it carefully so that you're covering the entire sensor so that there isn't any debris in there. So you just easily peel back, just keeps more germs out. I like the way it looks. Okay. So let me show you this. It's a little hard when I can't see it, but I'm going to try to get it right around the circle. There we go. Okay, so now it covered around this. So I could just leave it like that. I actually don't like the way that looks, and I like the Oura branding. And for me, who's someone who sweats so much, and then I'm in and out of all these saunas, everything else, I want to make sure that this is fully sealed so I'm not getting any germs in there. So I'm going to put the Oura Ring sticker on top of it. So you can peel that back really easily. 2 of these stickers come in a box because you get 2 of these sensors. So when you buy one of these sensors, you guys, which is $99 on their website, which is the Stelo website, $99 gives you 2 sensors, which means they're less than $50 each, which is nice. And I can't impress upon you enough how important it is for data. And I also recommend that you consider looking up your HSA and FSA dollars if you have an account like that, a health savings account or a flex spending account, because many of the brands nowadays allow you to use those dollars for this. I mean, to me, that is exactly what that money is for. It's for prevention. So now I just want to get this as centered as I can. Okay. Don't like when there's any like creases. Perfect. So now I put this right over that. Can you see that now? So now that's where my CGM is at in my arm. Okay, so that's all I had to do. I literally did not even feel that needle go in there. And just remember, if you get the Stello, you have to hold it pretty tight on your arm and you have to depress this button at the same time, or press that button. And then I can just get rid of all of the garbage and recycle these boxes, which is so nice. So now what I'm going to do, just to make sure that you guys understand what the next step would be if you do this yourself. Now I am going to scan this. This is the Stello app by Dexcom. So we're going to put that right here. Now start new sensor. So I'm just clicking on start new sensor and I said new sensor is inserted. So now I have to find the pairing code on the applicator. So now on this applicator, there's a QR code. So I'm going to either enter the code manually or take a photo of it. I'm just going to take a photo of it since I have it right there. So now it's pairing with my sensor. And then that data from this exact sensor, which is now in my arm, Bluetooth wants to pair it. I say yes. Okay, it's now paired and it's warming up. So hopefully that's going to be warm during the course of the rest of the podcast episode so I can tell you guys what I'm at. It says that there's 23 minutes remaining, which is kind of a bummer. So maybe I'll report about this just under the video so you can see what my starting blood sugar was when I entered this into my arm. And, I expect it to be a really good blood sugar. I expect me to have something in the 80s. Sometimes when I record podcasts, I get a little more excited. So it's possible that it could be in the low 90s. But I really haven't eaten that much today yet, and I certainly haven't had much by way of carbohydrates. So I'm going to guess it's somewhere in the low 80s is my best guess. But in 23 minutes, we will know. And then I will, of course, put my number right here on the video, under the video, because I want you guys to know what that is. Okay, so the main things that I want to just leave you with in terms of continuous glucose monitors, in addition to the fact that it gives you real time feedback on your blood sugar, is it's also going to help you really dial in your energy and not have those spikes and crashes throughout the day, so you get a ton of focus in your day. I always tell clients when they start working with me, it is possible, you guys, because this is true for me every day, to have the same amount of energy at 8 a.m. that you do at 2 p.m. that you have at 8 p.m. That is possible. And if you are not experiencing that, it is your lifestyle choices that are preventing you from having optimized blood sugar, and a CGM can really help you get insight data about your lifestyle. Continuous glucose monitors are excellent for helping you create fat loss and support metabolic health, because you will see in real time what sorts of things you are eating that spike your blood sugar. And you're like, okay, wait a second, I don't want to eat that, because I remember Kristin telling me that if I'm spiking my blood sugar all day long, every time I spike my blood sugar, it is a sign in my body that's saying, store fat, store fat, store fat. And we don't want our body saying store fat all day long. So we really want to have a very moderate blood sugar bumps and dips in our day and keep it pretty steady throughout the day instead of having these big spikes. Now, I will say with this caveat, I will have big spikes in my blood sugar when I'm in the sauna, because that is a stressor that is causing a spike in my blood sugar, and that is a good stressor, and I don't avoid those stressors. I want those stressors. That is a stressor that will cause my blood sugar to go up. I also will notice that I will have a blood sugar spike if I do high intensity interval training. If I'm doing a sprinting workout on the treadmill or a sprinting workout outside, I will get a spike in blood sugar, but that's because my body is drawing on my glucose stores to be able to use that glucose to fuel that activity. And that again is a good spike. So please understand that if you see an errant spike like that after something that you believed is good for you, just know that not every single blood sugar spike is bad, and sometimes we actually want to have them because they relate to a healthy exercise that we are doing. I should also mention this, because I've been wearing these for so long, I was fascinated when my father and I went on a ski trip in Park City, Utah. My Freestyle Libre that I was wearing at the time went haywire. It said that my blood sugar was at like 268, 421. I was like, what's happening? So I did some research on it, and lo and behold, your blood sugar device, your continuous glucose monitor, can get completely wrecked in altitude, which I thought was really interesting. So here I was traveling with him from Minnesota to Park City, and I just ended up taking the blood sugar monitor out of my arm because I had no idea that altitude could affect a continuous glucose monitor until that time. It has to do with the pressure in the atmosphere, and that the blood sugar monitor just essentially doesn't work anymore and it becomes useless. And there are actually scientific papers on this that I found, which was fascinating. So I think the best thing that I would say about wearing a CGM is it causes a tremendous amount of awareness about your body and about your lifestyle practices. Every time I meditate, my blood sugar goes down. Every time I lay on a bed and acupuncture, my blood sugar goes down. And so this may be a way for you to realize that you need some more of those modalities in your life to really keep you metabolically healthy by keeping your blood sugar down. I hope you found this podcast episode interesting. I promise I will share with you what my blood sugar level is in about 19 minutes when the sensor is done warming up. I will put that below the video. I will put a link to the Stello device, and I will be back with a future episode on another interesting topic soon. Thanks for being here.